Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the NBA Locker Room, my bi-weekly show that happens every, Wednesday and every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific. And I don't know, I decided to put up the iPad, and it totally doesn't work on the screen. So we might just take it off because it's actually asking me for feedback, and then it crashes. So maybe we'll just take this off real quick while we're talking and while everyone's coming into the show. Hey, everybody on YouTube, if you're there, make sure that you come over to the the Locker Room app and download that so you can interact with me directly. The link is in the description, and I also have it all over the place on Twitter. Let me turn this off real quick so that I don't see that or hear that. And let's do this, and we'll go boom. Okay, so we'll figure that out, and one day we'll have the actual screen of the Locker Room app on the screen just for fun and have that look. But don't forget, if you're on the Locker Room app, then just, if you want to talk about anything with me directly, just request to come on, and I'll bring you in, and my mic will pick it up with the phone, and we'll be all set. So how is everybody? We're almost at the time to have the regular season start. I know I'm really excited. I don't think I was completely ready for the season to start, so quickly after the last one, and not enough of an off season. But for some reason, all of a sudden, Tuesday is starting to loom, and we're going to get there. And the matchups are pretty good. I'm planning a really big breakdown for both those games, so make sure you stay tuned for that over on YouTube. But I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are. So, I'm going to keep my eye out on the Locker Room app as well. But let's go over here and we'll look at the comments over on YouTube to see what's happening here too. Everyone's like, hey, what's up? Great day for a Sunday chat, wouldn't you say? I mean, what else we have to do since we're all, I would hope, locked down these days and staying safe for a little bit longer. So let's see here. We got to get into some talks about the NBA, right? Why not? Break it out and let's do it. What's up, Diego Sportspace? I have some notes. I'll start talking about what I prepared, and then by the time I get halfway through one point, we got questions coming in, we got people talking, and it goes into other directions. So I'm ready for that. We got an hour to talk about the NBA. And don't forget, every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, which would be 2 o'clock on the East Coast. And then on Sundays, the same time, I'm here. We'll probably do mostly on the Locker Room app itself, but I figured, hey, let's bring in the YouTube crowd as well, see what happens, see what kind of audience we get. Maybe I'll even do like a Periscope. I haven't done one of those in a long, long time. So everything sound good? I hope so. Anybody want to send me a message over on Locker Room, let me know if that sounds okay, because I've got the mic right next to my mouth. I hope that sounds good. Let's see here. Why is KD's jump shot looking weird? That's interesting that you asked that, because I got to check his percentage. I've seen him, he seems like he's okay, but I would imagine that his rhythm is off just because he hasn't played in competitive games for so long. But it looks the same to me as far as mechanically, I think. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's moving a little bit gingerly on that calf. It's tight on the Achilles. It's probably still a little bit weak, and he'll have to just build it up over time. I did mention this before, though, that I'm a little bit worried because that step back move he used that actually caused the tendon to rupture, he's kind of still doing that. And if that leg gets the leg gets too far back behind him, and then and you put pressure on it, and then the heel goes all the way to the ground, that's where we're seeing a lot of these Achilles injuries now, and that needs to be trained out of you so you don't do it that far, where the leg is not going so far back in line with your ankle and your foot and your leg, so that all the pressure goes on that tendon. You need to have it either turned 90 degrees that way, pushing off the insole of your foot, and it doesn't need to go that far back, especially in his situation where it's repaired surgically. So, okay, let's look over here. So nothing coming in yet on Locker Room. Let's go. I got some good questions, it looks like, already on the YouTube side, so we'll throw some of those in there. Although, you know what I want to talk about first? Let's talk about Russ playing alongside Bradley Beal. We got our first glimpse of the Wizards and what they can do. And I don't know what you guys thought, but I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, I know that Bradley Beal has played alongside John Wall, who's not a shooter, and so he's used to it, but that frustration level still might be there as he progresses through the season. Here's what I was seeing. Now, it looks like Scott Brooks wants to keep them sort of on opposite sides of the floor to balance that, which is not the worst idea, but Russ's man can now just leave him alone on the perimeter. And the way he's shooting it, again, he hasn't changed his shot. Russ hasn't, from the three-point line, certainly, where he's hanging in the air before he shoots. He's never going to be consistent doing that. He's already been playing for 12 years, whatever it is. I don't think it's going to change at any rate. And so what we're seeing here is, Russ's man helping off and just getting in the way of everything. So it's going to make it harder on Beal. Now, there's ways to sort of mitigate that by letting Russ be the chief attacker off the ball, with the ball, coming off of screens, coming off of handoffs, and collapsing and then kicking. But if they ever find him on the weak side or somewhere near Beal, then Russ's man is just going to be 15 feet off of him and getting in the way of everybody else. I even saw some evidence of some decision-making issues, which we it's well documented. Certainly in my videos, I've shown that, where Russ, there was one where he's coming down the sideline on the right side, and he forces the defender to step up to stop Russ, which would left Bradley Beal wide open, one pass away in the corner for a three, and instead he kind of forces it down low to a guy in the baseline who was covered already. That guy in the baseline quickly throws it to Beal, but by then he's not open as much anymore, and he has to shoot the quick release three, and he missed. So those are the kind of decisions that we're going to see here. Now, the thing that's in contrasting to Russ versus John Wall was always so much better at throwing the ball up early. He would give the ball up as quickly as he could early in the backcourt if it was open. And Russ does not do that nearly as consistently. So I don't know how it's going to work. And I'm a little bit concerned. And again, it was the first game back. They probably don't have hardly any games under their belts, even like pickup stuff to get their rhythm going and their chemistry. So that could change. But as of now, it didn't look great in that last game last night. So that's what I was thinking of in my notes to start off. Oh, let me turn on my phone because it went here. Why did it go dead? Or here we go. So. All right, so don't forget, if you're over here on YouTube, come over to Locker Room. You ask me a question directly, and it will come right on here with audio, and it'll be a speaker request, and I'll let you in here, and we'll talk. We'll chop it up. I want to hear from you guys. I don't want to talk for an hour straight. I want to talk, hear some other people's voices. So anybody there off stage who's listening in, come on in the show. Let's talk. Okay. Coach, what do you think of the Wizards and Avdija? So he's looked pretty good. Defensively, he's looked good too. He's been making some good plays on that end, which is great to see. And he's actually I think he's been shooting really well. I've seen him nail a few threes. Remember, I was a little bit concerned because he doesn't really dip and it's really limited the way they had taught him to shoot it. But the release looks good and they're open. So he is making the open jump shots, which should come, A, because they don't quite know his game just yet, and B, with Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, they're going to put pressure on the defense, and they're going to stretch that out, or like collapse defenses, and then he should get, a decent amount of open jumpers. Now, we also saw Bertans come back to the court, and he will also provide the kind of spacing. So if they can get that lineup going, and Russ can kind of get tuned in a little bit better in my mind, then they have something. They have a playoff competitive team right there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that works. But yeah, I think Avdija looks very poised and very, unintimidated, which is good to see. So I expect him to have a nice, solid, good rookie year. Probably, I would hope he would shoot 35% from three. I would hope he would probably, average about 10, 11, 12 points and play his 26 minutes a game, whatever, and get his feet wet and get really a solid experience for his first year in the NBA. So I have good hopes for him that he'll do well. I have notes on LaMelo. I guess I see some questions with LaMelo here, so we can go into that as well. And let's do it, shall we? Oh, another big shout out on YouTube to Gigolo Puff for being in there as a moderator. Again, just above and beyond. I'll take care of you next time I get my email out. So thank you so much, Gigolo Puff, for doing that. Again, thank you guys all for being here on a nice Sunday morning. Don't forget, I'll be here Sunday mornings on Locker Room and probably more on Locker Room. I'm just doing a couple of these on YouTube to kind of wet the whistle here, but we're going to focus more on Locker Room and make sure we get more people in there. But join, sign up, see if you like it. There's a lot of channels on the NBA side with a lot of really, really smart people who are hosting their own shows as well. You might really dig it. It's almost like a live podcast for you, basically. But the key here is you can go on and ask questions. I love it. That's my best thing, especially because the whole reason why I'm here and B-Ball Breakdown works is because we all know it's not a channel, it's a conversation. So, which also reminds me, parenthetically, I am launching tomorrow. Breaking news, although I kind of broke it yesterday too, if you were on the live show, or whenever I did the live show last. I've been doing so many. We're going to be doing a membership on YouTube. And I've already gotten the amazing custom emojis you're going to get. We're going to have 3 tiers, and the first tier for just $1 a month. That's it. If you want to just throw me a bone and, give me a nice pat in the back for the 10 years plus I've been doing this for so long and so hard, all that work. You get custom emojis, and they're awesome. You're gonna love them, I guarantee it. And that's for just $1 a month. But then we quickly go to $3 a month, which is again nothing. We'll have a lot of live shows, a little bit like this, and I'll bring on guests who are beat writers for NBA teams, and we'll have really in-depth, focused, exclusive shows for you guys there. And then for $4 a month, for $1 more a month, you can also get access to our live watch parties we'll be doing every month, which will be really cool and exclusive. And we have the opportunity there to you can come on with video and interact with me there on another app. So stay tuned for that announcement on Monday. I'm going to put together a funny video today and launch it tomorrow. And we have already a couple of exclusive pieces of content that are going over some preview stuff for the NBA you're not going to want to miss. I'm telling you, it's great. And I also did a great interview with Drew Hanlon, who is the top NBA trainer around, and he gave us some really cool insights into the sort of the newer skills that we're seeing over the last year or two that NBA players are incorporating. It's a must see. I'm telling you, you're going to want to join just to get that access for that. So anyhow, let's talk about LaMelo. Because I went through his stuff because I was a little bit concerned as far as why is he shooting so bad? But I don't know if you were on Twitter, and if you should follow me on Twitter because I'm posting video, and I'm going to really start to get on it a lot more in next once the season starts. And also I'll be doing a lot more posting on IG, B-Ball Breakdown. So follow me there too. It's a really much more of an interesting coaching thing. I tend to do a little bit more of the coaching side on that end, but it's really I love IG. It's like. You know what it is? It's like Twitter with nice people. So that's why I like it so much. So why does my phone not want to stay on? There we go. Okay. So everything sounds good. Everything looks good. It looks like everyone's happy. So let's get back into LaMelo. So his jump shot's funky. Lonzo's jump shot was funky. He'd have runs where he'd be hitting all these shots and he'd be missing all these shots. Really inconsistent. And I just feel like it's going to be the same. LaMelo is going to be fine. His jump shot isn't as funky, quote unquote, as Lonzo's is, but he's got weird rhythm issues. It's almost like a 3-motion kind of shot some of the time. But man, I posted on Twitter last night, I shared a video of him doing an underhand, off the dribble, 45-foot bounce pass, lead pass to a cutter for a layup. And it was just like Pistol Pete. Pistol Pete Maravich, who we used to see, back in late 60s, early 70s. That's the kind of audacity that we're looking for, and he'll just wow crowds every night with at least 1 or 2 of those. It was at the end of the game. I think it was decided by then, so it was less pressure on him preseason, but still, I have a feeling we're going to see those kind of passes in the regular season. Just to see him try them, they're amazing. And he had a couple other ones behind the back stuff that's really just creative. So, excuse me. So I'm not really worried about him at all. I think he'll sort of get a little bit more acclimated to the shooting and the rhythm. I think what he's doing is he's still struggling with the speed of the game and the athletes and how strong and how long they are. So I would predict that after about 15, 20 games, he'll adjust and get used to it because he's getting into the lane. He's turning the corner. He's getting runners. He's really good at those floaters generally off 1 foot. He's just kind of barely missing those right now. He's off by a little bit, rushing it probably a little bit because the big men are bigger and stronger and they get up there quicker. So once he gets that adjusted and figured out and more settled, I'm sure he'll get up to his, he'll get his 10, 12 points a game. He'll shoot in the low 40s, which is fine for a rookie. And, but he'll throw dimes that are just going to wow you. It's going to be amazing. But you know what? He'll probably end up having those kind of passes where he throws them and they don't score sometimes. So we just like miss it. We don't realize it because it doesn't get registered as an assist. But he's that kind of next world Magic Johnson, Pistol Pete kind of guy. And so I have high hopes for him to be just a really, really good player. I think he got abused a little bit on defense, because Cole Anthony, who, he's also looking good. The hair is distracting to me. I hate to say it. I don't want to say, oh, you can't have, fancy hair. It's distracting to me. I don't know why. And hair is always a thing. Like, what's frustrating for me right now is that I think it's DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish have like the same haircut, and maybe my eyes don't work. I just got brand new glasses, and it's a lot clearer now, so it'll help me. But it's like I can't tell. It's hard for me to figure out who is who because the hair looks the same. And you always want to be remembered for your game, not the hair. I remember I had a kid in high school who had, what did he have? Some sort of interesting out there hair, and it was like, oh, you become the hair guy, and not the guy that can just destroy your man off the dribble. That's what I wanted him to be remembered by. Nonetheless, but Cole Anthony looks kind of good, I think. He looks unintimidated as well, and he shouldn't be since he's kind of grown up in the whole, environment of the NBA. Let's see here. Oh, but the other thing that we have to be careful about LaMelo is that he's clearly lost his confidence as well. He did a mid-range shot that went in, that after he released it, he came running at the basket as if it was going to be a way off miss, didn't get the rebound. Then he did the same thing on another three-pointer that did miss, whereas before the ball was even out of his hand, practically he was like sprinting to the basket because he knew it was off. And those are the moments where you got to get worried that he is, if his confidence gets splintered and he can't regain it, then the rhythm doesn't come back as easy. So that's one thing he's going to have to be careful with, because that could lead to games and games of just really being off. So that's my take on LaMelo. We're kind of running through all of our different conversations here, our different topics. But anybody else over on Locker Room, come on, speak up. Let me know what you want to talk about, or if you want to come in on the show. Let's see here. Thank you, David. Loves the videos. Awesome. I appreciate it. Can't wait to get some more, regular season videos coming up with you this week. Did I ever play competitively when I was younger? If so, at what level? Hunter asks a good question. Oh, my goodness. And I missed a super chat. Thank you so much, Nation JJ. I really, really appreciate it. I think I'm assuming that you're responding to maybe my announcement a few minutes ago about the membership. And so I'm really excited about it. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. And it's going to be a really thriving community where we all can kind of really interact together. Even if it's going to be a lot of people joining, it's still going to be an opportunity much more focused than normal for much more than like a regular show. Okay, so thank you again, Nation JJ, for the awesome super chat. I really appreciate that. And don't forget, feel free to go over and download the Locker Room app and join me over here too, because again, I'm not going to do these simulcasts on YouTube all the time. This is going to be a couple of times I figure I'll get the wheels churning, and then we'll come over and stay over on Locker Room. But make sure you do that. And again, I can't stress this enough. They've got an NBA channel with so many shows that are so awesome that you wouldn't need any more podcasts. This is where you'd go. Okay, so Hunter wants to know if I ever played competitively when I was younger, and if so, what level? So it's a good question. I did. I was on a really good high school team. I went to a smaller high school in the city of Chicago, but we played some of the bigger teams, and we had guys who were, a couple guys played at the D1 level. One guy went D1, another guy walked on and then got hurt, and then a third guy was probably good enough to be. Did he end up playing? I can't remember now, but he was like a 6'6" center. And he really couldn't play that, at D1 level, but he was awesome. So we had a really good talent. I was the guy who had to just bring the ball up and get it to them. I was going to play Division III, so I would have been a good Division III player. And I was just thinking about this earlier, where if I had been able to get trained the way they train now with off the dribble shooting, then I probably could have played like a little bit higher level, because I was a really good shooter. But I didn't get a chance to shoot off the dribble, really, because they would bench you if you shot a three off the dribble. That would be like, heresy. And then when I got to the varsity level, like the ball never kind of swung back for me to get a shot. It was really hard at that level to do that. But I could really, really just shoot the ball from distance. And that would have been a great opportunity if I could have been able to do off the dribble and then run pick and rolls. It would have been a lot more good. But then of course, as everyone does, as you got into college, I got really good. As you really develop and learn the game. And so I was a basketball manager at the University of Wisconsin. So that was back when Stu Jackson was the head coach and Michael Finley was there, and Tracy. Oh my God, what was Tracy's last name? I'll tell you in a second, because it's you start thinking about Tracy McGrady, but it's not. It's Tracy. Oh my God, this is what happens to your brain. Anyway, one of the really great Big Ten point guard. And back before they had 30 NBA teams. If they had 30 NBA teams in 1994, I think he probably would have gotten drafted. And he's an assistant coach, and he was at on Quanto Martin's staff. Anybody want to tell me? I gotta look it up now because I'm so embarrassed. Tracy, Wisconsin guard. Tracy. No, it's not going to. Tracy Webster. There it is. Tracy Webster. Anyway, great. So the point is, I would get into those pickup games every once in a while with those guys. I could hang in a summer pickup game with those guys a little bit. So there's the answer to your question as far as what I played at what level. And I'm actually thinking about doing a YouTube series where I get back on the court and I have somebody like a trainer come on and teach me how to shoot off the dribble and do all those things and train me all the modern float dribble and the hezzies and all that stuff. I would like to learn that, but I would have to get into some real shape. But thanks to the miracle of modern science, I could take a pill and it doesn't hurt to move anymore. So I can do it now, whereas my body was killing me. And you know why? Because I spent so much time diving for loose balls and being the crazy guy like that versus like maybe working on my skills a little bit more. So as a result, my body like kind of fell apart completely. So that's why you probably see me advocating for not diving for the ball a lot, because I feel like we should train kids to stay on their feet and sprint like doubled over to scoop the ball and go versus just getting on the floor and getting hurt. So that was my basketball playing days. Let's keep going, shall we? Because I have some other notes, but let's just see if, let's see here on the, okay, locker room. Nobody's asking any questions yet. All righty. Well, feel free to do that if you're there. Oh my goodness. Now let me go back into my room. And then if you want to be, I will chop it up on the YouTube comments as well a little bit, but that definitely giving priority to anybody who wants to ask a question over on Locker Room. The link is in the description. Download it, join in, and check it out. I know people on YouTube don't like to get off of YouTube, but hey, expand your horizons a little bit. Why not? Okay, let's see here. You don't see the app on Google Play. Oh shoot. You know what? I think it's on iPhone only, on iOS, on Apple. Okay, I think they're working on it. I forgot about that. So, okay, that is one problem. But hey, get an iPhone then. I don't know. Okay. Hey, Coach, what do you think about the Sixers this year? I don't know. I mean, the Sixers, in my mind, it's in the context of what the Nets have just done. So I keep talking about this a couple times. If you've seen my live shows recently, I've said this in the notion that these teams like the Celtics and the Sixers and Toronto to some degree, but these guys have been building for years trying to get to the top. Right? Celtics and Sixers, and there's one more team I'm forgetting in the East. Oh, the Bucks. And so they have been building for years, have been taking their time, trying to figure this whole thing out. And then, like that, the Nets come in here, and they're better than those teams already. I really feel that way right now, and they should be by the time they get to the playoffs. So all of a sudden, it like changes the timetable for all these teams. And the Sixers would be the one odd man out, I would think, who would be like, yeah, this isn't going to happen now the way we were trying to do it. And so I would think that they're going to do something major, especially if it doesn't work out in the first like 20, 25 games. If they're not playing really well and winning a lot of games, I wonder if they're going to try and pull the trigger. Now, we know that the James Harden thing is in the background, and I think he would go there. And it sounds, though, that like they're really working hard on also getting into the Nets, which is weird, too, because I don't think the Nets need him, honestly. But if the Nets got him, then forget about it. By the way, the Bucks will have wasted their money. I honestly feel like they put together this team, they spent all this money on Giannis, and I don't see how the Bucks would beat the Nets in the next 2-3 years, which is a long time in the NBA. So that's what I think. So the Sixers, I think, are I don't know. I don't feel great about them. Is the question. And the question also is, do you want a 4th seed or a 3rd seed and get the second round of the playoffs? That could very well be a success for the Sixers fans. I'm assuming they want to get to the finals at the very least, and that's their goal. And I don't see that happening this year, and I don't see it really happening anyway, because I'm really concerned about just the Simmons and Embiid pairing. For some reason, those two just doesn't seem like that's going to work. And I like Simmons, and I've loved him in the past, and I kind of like him now. He really is talented and has a lot of ability, but he's limited in such certain areas about the shooting stuff that it just becomes a problem, especially in the playoffs. So good question. Let's see here. A Jason Williams kind of player, right? That could very well be the trajectory for LaMelo Ball. Jason Williams probably, although. Yeah, I mean, different body types and whatnot, but there's certainly a creativity there. That's a through line for both of those guys. Let's see here. Any other good questions I can grab from YouTube while I'm here, or even from the Locker Room app? So come on, join us over here. Let's see a few more people here. Oh, yeah, the Android thing is an issue. I had Android for a lot of years, and I got to tell you, I switched to iPhone, several years ago, and I've never been happier. Um, so yeah, I'm really sorry that that's not on the Android thing. I think that they're working on it. I hope that they are. I'm pretty sure they are. I think they told me that. Atlanta Hawks look shaky in the preseason. Defense is still a major issue with that team. It's a good point. He didn't start. So Gallinari is coming off the bench, and he's going to do his pick and pops for three and be really effective that way for them. I just think that right now they're just experimenting. Bogdanovich didn't start last night, and so they're trying to see who's going to play well with what. So we're going to have to be patient with them, I think, for a little bit of time because they do have a lot of options. Cam Reddish, though, looking to break out in my mind. I think he's going to be terrific. But you know what? So is DeAndre Hunter. So they're both playing well, and that's a nice combo to have. Those guys are it's funny because they're kind of like similar size as far as like height and whatnot, but DeAndre Hunter is much more of an inside player. Cam Reddish can be like a shooting guard with a lot of length. So I think that those guys are really going to benefit from the other guys around them, like Trey and Bogdanovich and Gallinari. So I have high hopes for the Atlanta Hawks. I feel like if they can stay healthy, they should be in the middle to the somewhere between 4th and 6th in the Eastern Conference minimum. So we'll see. Now the other thing about locker room, I think it's only in English speaking countries on the iPhone. So we're working on that. Or they are. Let's see here. How will Toronto adjust with loss of Ibaka and Gasol? So Toronto's going to be interesting because, that's tough. And they're going to have to just rely on OG and Siakam and Van Vliet a lot more. They have some pieces, but I suspect they're going to drop down a little bit because I don't know if they're going to get that same kind of production from Boucher. So that's an interesting question. I did see a little bit of Boucher, some things that might be good, but I don't know if he's ready for the full year. I do see a super chat, but it's not coming up in my other area. But here I see it from Mindful Attraction. Thank you so much. From Mexico, it looks like. And here's what his quote was. I think LaMelo Ball is overrated. If he can't finish with contact or without contact, hasn't made a shot in the paint, he is struggling to shoot in the preseason. Do you expect him to get better in the season where the defense is tougher? So great points. And, it's fact at this point that LaMelo is not, scoring very well in the paint or from the outside. And thank you again for the super chat. Again, if you want your question on, to get up there quicker, then it's always the best way to do it is on the super chat. My only problem is it froze on me. Great. Oh, how do I close that out? No. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, but like I mentioned before, I think it's a matter of time just for him to get comfortable out there. And those floaters will start to fall a little bit more. The 3-point shot will fall a little bit more. And I have a feeling he'll shoot in the low 40s from the field. He'll shoot in the the mid low 30s, 34, 36%, around there maybe for three. So he'll get back to around a little bit below average maybe on that end. So he'll be fine. I think that's where his trajectory is, but just might take him 20 games to get acclimated. Okay, halfway through the show. Awesome. Amazing. Thanks so much. And then let's see. I got a text here from Ethan who's saying, I'm not getting any speaker requests. If you're requesting me, why is it not showing up? I don't know. I don't see any. So, yeah, it's blank for me right now. If you're watching this, Ethan, I guess I can text him. Hey, live, why not? Ethan's part of the whole locker room team. I don't see any requests. I'll just tell him because he might be listening right now. Who knows? But I don't know. It's weird. So, another super chat comes in. There we go. Now it's back. Varun, man, you're just my patron saint at this point. Thank you so much. Do you think that the advances in medicine are helping players to come back from Achilles injuries better than in the past? Give me a hope for Clay. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I certainly think that, KD looks pretty close to what he was, and that's a good sign. I mean, I can remember Dominique coming back and still being great, and that was like in the 90s. So, they can still, even then they had the ability to repair it, I suppose. But I think also it's the recovery part, the training part to get back is better than it was. I'm still worried about KD, like I mentioned in the beginning of the show, that he's still having some of the same foot plant patterns that could lead to, that surgically repair thing to get a lot of extra stress he doesn't need. So that's another thing that's good generally if it's working out right. So lots of questions in the discussion. I can't believe this. So Worst case, you might want to quit LR and relaunch. All right. So apparently in the locker room, I have a lot of questions, and a lot of people want to come on, and I don't see, and they're not coming on at all. It's completely blank on my end. Well, here's the question. I guess I'll do that because what's the difference? Let me try that. Let's see if I do this and then come back on. Sorry, guys, on YouTube, but let's just get the locker room thing going. Oh, so where's my room? Yeah, my room is not here. So somehow they're not even listening, I guess. I don't know. I don't see a room. So I guess I can create another room. Son of a gun. Let's try this. Sorry, guys, on YouTube. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to type this in again. NBA show. I'm just going to make it really quick and just launch it and see what happens. Okay, so anybody out there who wants to join me back on Locker Room, let's see if this works. And everyone's back. Sorry about that. It looks like they're all coming back in. Okay, so now here come the questions. All right. Hey, Ethan, what's up, my man?
Hey, not much. Not sure what was happening here, but looks like we're rolling. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I missed it on. You probably talked about it on YouTube, or I may have missed it on a previous Locker Room. But I'm curious what your thoughts are on the Nets, assuming they acquire Harden, because on one level, you'd think like KD plus Kyrie plus James Harden, those are three huge superstars, incredible offensive players, some of the best ever, and you put them on one team, and it's a super team. But on the other hand, I feel like the particulars of how those players play matters, right? Like you have the Warriors who put together an offensive super team as well, but those players between Clay, Draymond, Steph, KD complemented each other really well too. So I guess it's a two-part question. One, how do you see KD and Kyrie fitting? But more importantly, what do you see as the potential in a Harden, KD, Kyrie big three? Could that work in your mind, I guess, offensively and defensively, based on how those players play?
So yeah, great question, and we talked about it a little bit, and I've dug into the footage, and I've done it even more now because we have more footage. So the weird thing is, I don't think they even need Harden to get to the finals out of the East. I really don't. I feel like what they have right now is a nice team that kind of complements everybody nicely. Cause like the Lakers, for instance, are a good example too, where the individual parts are like, how can this possibly be a championship team? But then Vogel does an incredible job, molds them all together. They all play their roles really well. They all accept their roles really well, and then they get all the way into the NBA championship. Now that would be an issue, obviously, with putting James Harden on that. Somebody actually had said, what if they need to trade Kyrie to get Harden? And I was like, whoa, that's an interesting possibility as well, because now you're saying a guy who has a real hard time staying healthy in Kyrie, and you're replacing him with a guy who's arguably better and who never misses a game. So I'm really kind of intrigued by that. But let's just say they all play together. Steve Nash has already shown some creativity out there with Kyrie and KD, and they're both looking for each other, which is a really nice sign. They're all being very nice, and they're very cordial, and they're like, where can I find him? I want to get him an easy pass, and when I find him, I'm not going to try and show, if it's Kyrie, he's not going to be like, I'm going to show KD how good I am. No, he's like, I'm going to find KD. Let's get him open too. So that's all really great. And Steve Nash, I would imagine, is really focused on creating that kind of culture. So in theory, you throw James Harden in there, that's a tough one for a rookie coach to be able to handle with those kind of, egos and mindsets. But I can't help but think, again, they would be, the favorites to get to the NBA finals. And, they could certainly win them too. So I would see a path where they would be able to play pretty well together, even though I know it's Kyrie and Harden in the backcourt is interesting and challenging. We did see it work a little bit okay with Russ in a different context, but remember, we all forget there was about 5-6 weeks in there last year where Russ was playing amazing and they were doing well. So indicating to me that Harden can do it. He can accept that, have somebody else like that star wattage, and they can play alongside each other. So I think that at this point, with Harden's point of his career, he might even say, listen, I've done the whole other thing, the ISO thing, the head star. I want to share this. I want to be part of something that makes it easier on me. So I don't know. I think it would work pretty well.
Love it. Yeah, no, thanks. And I'm glad I got to pop up. Obviously, like if anybody else requested to speak, it worked for me this time. So
yeah,
request up or throw things in the discussion. I'm sure.
Yeah, here they come. They're
thanks, Coach.
Awesome. They're streaming it. Thanks, Ethan. I appreciate it. All right, we got a couple people more over on Locker Room, so if you want to come over there, this is working now. I will get that, but I got a couple of super chats over on YouTube I want to take care of real quick. Again, thank you. Mindful Attraction is now becoming another patron here. My stats from 33% field goal, 22% from three. This is for LaMelo Ball, and 68 from free throws. I just don't see any evidence that shows he's going to shoot efficiently. He's never shot over 25% from three as a pro. Great point. And then Doc is the most overrated coach in the last 20 years. I could probably agree with that too. So you're throwing in a pairing I don't think that's going to work anyway in Embiid and Simmons. And then you're throwing in Doc, who, we'll see. I mean, the real proof is going to be if Tyronn Lue gets this team to play better too. And although the Clippers did play well, but obviously we'll have to wait for the playoffs to see what's going to happen with Ty Lue and what he can do. But it'll be an interesting indictment on Doc's coaching if they do appreciably better in in the coming up playoffs. So thank you so much. Thank you for Mindful Attraction for those two super chats from Mexico. And that, remember, on YouTube, that gets you to the front of the line to ask a question. But let's get to the front of the line over on Locker Room. We got Hassan who wants to come in and talk. So what's up, Hassan?
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
First, I just wanted to say I've been a fan of the show since 2014, and I appreciate the great content.
Wow, thank you.
My question is kind of more of a general question. I wanted to ask why certain stars like LeBron, Giannis, Harden, and Westbrook play more of an ISO style of basketball, even though we've seen success from teams like the Warriors and Spurs with, triangle and motion offenses.
Well, great question. And I think what happened with Houston specifically in Harden was, they're analytics based, right? So they're looking at this and saying, okay, we have this guy who is terrific, both ball handling, ISOing, and setting up his teammates for shots and breaking down the defense. So what can we do on offense that can guarantee and most consistently those kind of shots? Well, the more passes you make, the numbers will tell you, the more chance you have to throw the ball away, right, and to turn it over, and the more mistakes and guys running into each other and all that kind of stuff like that. So there's an optimal number of passes I think that they were able to see, but they realized it's like, let's just really distill this offense down into the absolute, bare minimum thing we need to do to guarantee the one thing we want, which is James Harden either shooting it or creating the pass for the open shot based on his pressure on the defense. So I think it evolved out of that specifically for Harden. And, can you blame them? It worked. They've probably won more games in the regular season over the last, 5 years than but I don't know, probably 2 or 3 teams. So it works in that end. But what happens? He gets worn down in the playoffs. That style does not work nearly as well because they can scheme and they can load up and double and all those things. And so suddenly you're left with investing all this time and energy into developing something that seems like it works on paper, and then ultimately you get killed in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was just curious about it because I know specifically with a guy like LeBron, he's so talented that you don't want to limit him by having a lot of off-ball actions and having a structured offense. But I remember your interview with Coach Kerr a couple years ago, where he said as a role player it meant a lot to him to be a part of the triangle where he was setting screens, he was cutting, and that made him play defense a little bit harder. And I feel like playing with, for example, Giannis or Harden, if you're just standing in the corner, I feel like that's going to have a negative impact on you defensively. It's going to make you feel some type of way about the superstars that you're playing with. So I was just curious as to why they did that, but thanks for clearing that up.
You got it. Thank you, Hassan. Appreciate it. And really great points as well. I mean, that's the other thing, which is what Coach Kerr had said and Phil Jackson believed and Craig Popovich believed is that, and we've heard people grumble about this. We've heard Serge Ibaka publicly say, it's really annoying to just run and stand on the baseline all day long with those guys at OKC. So, yeah, the players play harder when they feel part of the game. And that was another thing that when Phil Jackson brought in the triangle offense, back then, if you were a power forward, you didn't really touch the ball on the perimeter at all. And so suddenly they would have, both the forwards, the small forward and the power forward in the wing. And guys like Horace Grant had to learn kind of how to face up and rip through and all that stuff. And it really just sort of fed energy to everybody, and I agree. And by the way, there was no shortage of Michael Jordan ISOs in the triangle offense, right? But when you let players touch the ball a little bit, pass the ball a little bit, cut through and move, it did make a big difference. Even though we all knew at the end of that possession, Michael's going to shoot that ball. But remember, that shot then becomes a little bit easier because there's spacing and there's movement, and there's harder for the defense to load up on him because of that. So I agree. I think that there's going to be a push away from that now as we move along and see that it's not necessarily as successful as they think it is. We got more speaker requests. Awesome. So let's go to Andy and bring him on the show. What's happening, my man?
What's up, Coach?
Good to hear from you.
I have a follow-up question to Ethan, his point. The whole super team stuff around the NBA. I feel like these traded super teams like Kyrie and KD and Harden and all that kind of stuff, I feel like they have a ceiling, the Warriors grew naturally, the Bulls grew naturally, and they all have no glue guy, no chemistry. So I feel they have a ceiling. They reach maybe one final or win one championship, but they don't become a dynasty like the Warriors, for example. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
That's a great point. Although, that said, the Warriors, they did a little of their own version of that too when they brought KD in, I would think, as well.
Yeah.
But you have a very good point, and I think it is that chemistry. It's that development of I love that story of guys like maybe Scottie Pippen, right, who was unheralded. I know he got drafted kind of high, but he didn't go to a big school. Nobody really knew him, and he developed into a Hall of Fame player. And there's something about that when it's not given to you, so early, is you fit into a certain kind of a role around a star differently if you're already the star and you're already the man, and it makes it a lot harder. We saw it with LeBron. It's not easy to play alongside LeBron. I think it's easier now. I think he's actually adjusted a little bit, but in Miami, we saw that happen too, where you really had to adjust your game to play alongside him. It was really, not so easy. So I agree. I also probably not respect, but I probably gravitate more towards teams that do, spend the time to develop these players and bring them in through the draft and build a team from the ground up. That said, we're now at the point, like I mentioned earlier, where you have like the Celtics and you have the Bucks and you have the Sixers who have kind of tried to do that, and all of a sudden they're just going to get wiped off the floor by the Nets. And I don't know if that's fair or not either. What do you think?
I don't know, the Nets, they have a rookie coach and they have to prove themselves, I think. And the Clippers showed that you can have the best talent in the world and still fail miserably. So, I don't know, the next season, every title is up for grabs, I think.
Yeah.
It's an Western Conference.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be a great season. I can't wait for it to, see how it's going to play out. So we'll see. But great points. I'm really thankful for you to come in here and chop it up a little bit with me.
Thank you very much. Keep it up.
All right, we'll see you later. All right, we got another. Wait, I think we have another. Oh, here we go. Man Thompson. Let's bring Man in because he's got a question. What's up, Man? Are you there? Uh-oh. Do we put him to sleep? It looks like he's there, but maybe he'll come in. I'll leave you in there for now. Maybe he'll come back with us. So a lot of things were going on in those questions. And don't forget, now that this is working properly, you can come in here over on Locker Room and ask me. Oh, here he is. Man, what's going on, my man?
Sorry. I have my headphones. Big fan here. Thank you for having this chat. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Glad to be here. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, like in every game, when James Harden or guys like him drive like on top of the paint, I always think to myself, "Oh, you can't touch him. You can't do that." I know the NBA is making a lot of money in China, and I mean, as a business, they're doing really good. But do you think it would hurt the NBA's business if they brought in like a little handshaking back? I was just curious. That's
interesting. Okay, so let's up in the business sense, and I suppose that means if they brought hand-checking back, that would make it harder to score in theory, right? That's the idea. And then people want to maybe not watch as much because it's not as interesting. Interesting question. I mean, here's a weird thing. You kind of see hand-checking, right? You kind of see guys can sort of still touch them on the waist a little bit, right? But it's not, I guess it's not exactly the same because what happens back in the day was it would get pretty physical and you could really hit the guy with your forearm. Here's a weird thing for me. Defensively, that forearm kind of stuff to me was never a great way to play defense because you can lose your balance and be moving too far forward and the guy will blow right by you on a spin or a crossover. So back in the day, hand checking worked well because the guys didn't have the handles like they have now. Back in the day, when you were being guarded and dribbling, you would turn sideways or all the way on your back. Like you can picture Magic Johnson even dribbling the ball with his back to the defender. We don't teach that now. We teach guys to play open, facing the guy the whole time, and you kind of like will fake at him and then back it up a little bit, but so you can always be open to the floor. So as a result, I don't know if hand checking would be very effective anyway because you'd be trying to like touch the guy at the front of his waist while he's facing you up, and he's just going to do an in-out dribble or whatever and cross you over, and he's by you. So does that make sense? So I kind of jumped over the question to sort of say why hand checking might not work, but. So I think that might be what you'd see. If you allowed it, you'd probably get more scoring because the offensive player would get right by him.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
And one more question.
Sure.
Do you see the Brooklyn Nets making it to the finals in the East?
I do. Remember, this is all irrational exuberance right now. Everyone looks amazing. There's no, mid-season, dust ups between players or injuries. So right now, the way I see them playing, they've got all the pieces they need. And that's why it's like they don't even need Harden, I don't think. They've got everything they need to battle. They can go big, they can go small, they can go really small. They can play every different kind of style. So the question then is what can Steve Nash do as a coach and keep them together as a rookie coach without experience? And what can KD do to continue his return at the high level like we've seen? But I'm telling you, and then also can Kyrie stay healthy? But if that's the case, I don't see anybody in the East beating them.
Yeah, same here. It was great talking with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. All righty. So we got another speaker request. Don't forget, if you want to get in this conversation, we got another 12 minutes left. Hop over onto the Locker Room app, which is in the description, the link. And if you're on iPhone, Caleb, let's bring Caleb into the show. What's happening, my man?
Hey, I was just wondering if you got a chance to watch any of the Heat games and look at some of their younger guys who are getting more minutes, obviously, in preseason. Just wondering what your thoughts were.
All right, I'm going to have to bow my head in shame because that's the one team I really haven't had a chance to look at yet because, well, there's just too many damn games, right? So you tell me, what are you seeing right now?
So I've been traveling, so I've only caught glimpses of games here and there, so I'm along the same side as you. But I think it's just a situation where, obviously, Butler's been resting and things like that, and a lot of our bigger role players and starters have been sitting out. And so I've liked some of the shooting and the passing and just getting the ball moving around. I know in some of the finals games when Jimmy Butler was carrying us during some of the later ones, it just felt a little more like ISO with him. And obviously he was carrying us in some of those games, so it made sense because he was having career games. But just at times it seemed like he was attempting to force it sometimes. So I like seeing the ball moving around and getting to some of our open shooters still. So
yeah, for sure. And there's no question Spoelstra's been developing this over the last 3 or 4 years, and it's beautiful to watch. In fact, I just did, as part of my YouTube membership I'm launching tomorrow, we're going to have an exclusive interview with Drew Hanlon, who is an NBA trainer. And one of the things he brought up in that conversation is one of the new skills is to pitch the ball up and then follow your pass back, a pinch post action, basically, is what I would call it. And we see, Duncan Robinson doing that all the time. And that's when it got really exciting to watch, right? He'd come around that handoff, and he'd actually get in the air to shoot it, and then he would make a pass out of that sometimes on the roll. And those are the moments when it's like, the defense is completely broken down, and now you're going to get a good shot. You're going to get somebody attacking a closeout. And I think that was the genius of Spoelstra's offense. It allowed guys like Tyler Hero, who didn't show. You wouldn't have thought he'd be a solid player in the NBA Finals so quickly, but all of a sudden he's attacking closeouts. He's got space because of the offense, and Duncan Robinson as well. He's got space getting shots that you can now get to the finals in an improbable way just by the offense giving that foundation. And I think what happened was in the finals, the Lakers got a little better at scouting that. They took away some of those things, and all of a sudden what they were left with is Jimmy Butler, who again I think he had two of the best finals games ever played in my mind, two of the top 15 ever played, I think, which is crazy and probably a little bit hyperbole, but still one of them was amazing. and that's what they needed. But yeah, so I'm anxious to watch them, see what they're going to do. By the way, they're talking about maybe the Heat getting Harden. And I don't understand what they're going to do. I guess they give up Hero. Do you even know what that deal would be?
I have no idea. I know I've seen articles here and there where they're like Hero's a no-go and things like that. But it's a lot of this early talk here. It's hearsay and it's someone hearing something from someone. So I don't put much faith in a lot of that until it's like, all right, once I start actually hearing that there's a true deal like in the works, it's about to come out type stuff is when I actually start looking at stuff.
For sure.
Because it just becomes a little bit of rumor because like, oh, this article says Hero's a no-go, and the other ones say, oh, this is the exact trade they're going to go with. I'm like, I don't know who to believe anymore. So
I hear you. And we've learned over the years now where it's really tough. But, there's the 3 or 4 guys, and that's about the only you can trust. So anyway, Caleb, thank you so much. I love this conversation, and I'll get some eyeballs on the Heat soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, cheers. Okay, well, let's see here. We're wrapping this show up a little bit. What a great show. And I'm really, once we got this thing working, we got people calling in. It's, this is awesome. Now you can see why Locker Room is such a great platform because, I'm going to come up with ideas and hear things from you guys that I wouldn't have thought about without you being able to call in and write into like a radio show. So let me just see if in the discussion, let's see here. Why can't I get over there? There we go. Okay, we covered that. So let's go back over to the YouTube side and see if there's any interesting questions there while I can quickly do this and you can watch me do that. But again, thank you guys so much already for being part of the conversation. And don't forget, if you're liking this, I'm not going to do it on YouTube all the time. This might be the last one I do. I'm only going to be on Locker Room going forward. So, that's why you got to download the app and join me here. Let's see here. Who do I think will be named Rookie of the Year this season? Oh, my goodness gracious. That's a really tough one. Who's been really impressive to me as a rookie? Oh, my goodness gracious. You know who might actually be good is Quickly. I went through some of his footage, Emmanuel Quickly on the Knicks. I think he's going to start, and he's a rookie. He's played 2 years at Kentucky, right? And he looks good because remember, the Rookie of the Year tends to be who's going to get the most minutes and most consistent minutes. And it's a good situation for him where they clearly want to go with the youth movement there in New York. So keep your eye on him if you haven't seen him. I'll give you some of my notes that I took for the show. I'll get to him now. He's really under control. I like to see that from a guard who can change pace and change speeds coming off that pick and roll, reading. He's not going too fast. And he does that really nicely. I've seen a couple of wild shots every now and then, which is just, par for the course for a rookie, but nothing, out of the ordinary there. But he had actually a really great double pump floater where he got up in the air and kind of like looked to pass and then decided to shoot it almost on the way down as a floater, went right in, looked really, really good. He was an elite shooter from the three-point land in college. His shot looks good in the pros. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to shoot pretty well in the NBA as well. And you know what he's also really good with? He's good at drawing fouls. So another skill that you need in the NBA now is to learn how to draw fouls, make that contact, and then get to the free throw line. So he does a lot of quick jumps and a lot of off-foot jumps and finishes, which is always good to see at an early age. So that's the guy. I would say Emmanuel Quickly, keep your eye on him because he might end up getting the most consistent minutes to produce. By the way, he's got some competition maybe with Obi Toppin's going to be playing a lot too for the Knicks. And then who are the other guys who are popping out at me? Oh my goodness gracious! Let's let those two be the guys on the top of my list for right now. I'm sure there's like 4 other players I'm forgetting right now. Let's see here. Why did everyone ignore that AD had a 50-40-90 in the finals, which only had been done by Durant and AD? That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe because it's like for AD, this looks so easy that we kind of just sort of don't even realize what he's doing because it's like just so smooth. I don't know. That's a good question. But I think I knew that, but I think I forgot it. But now I remember it again. So thank you, D-Boss. Hand checking and fighting was great basketball. What are you talking about? The hand checking was whatever. I'm agnostic, but I do think that it's a problem based on what I was mentioning before. And fighting is never good, right? I don't think it is. Certainly not for the business. Let's see here. Do the Celtics have a shot at the finals? I'm kind of down the Celtics right now. But, it's not fair to, like, the last game I watched them play in the preseason was kind of a blah. They didn't shoot really well. Didn't look great. But then it was also without Kemba, which is a real cause for concern. It seems to me the only chance they have at getting out of the East would be with Kemba playing as well as he possibly can and figuring out his role better. But if he's going to be hurt, they're going to be behind the 8 ball. So, They need to get him healthy. He needs to play a lot of games. They need to get reps with all those guys together. Let's see here. Belgian Blazer. Let's see. Asks. Oh my goodness, this has just jumped on me. Hey, coach, do you think that Stotts is the right coach for this Blazers team? I'm especially worried about the defense after watching those Nuggets games. Yeah, the defense is going to be an issue. I like Stotts. I think his offensive stuff is great. I think he's one of the more clever coaches in the league. So I'm not going to fault him on that end. And let's give them 15 games to see how that works out with the roster and the full roster playing together before I go crazy with that. But hey, another speaker request over on Locker Room. Let's get Saraban in here. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah. Hi, Coach.
Hey, Coach. Hey, Saraban. How are you?
I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm hiding from COVID.
Me too.
Good.
Yeah, I have a general basketball question.
Yes.
I know mid-ranger is a bad shot because it's 40%, and if you just step behind, it's 40% behind the line. But why are so many players bad at shooting mid-ranges, and only superstars like KD and other superstars can shoot them at a high enough level?
Well, are you talking about mid-range?
Mid-rangers.
Yes. It's funny, you're right. The analytics have said we shouldn't shoot them, but the stupid thing about that is that when those guys look at the numbers, they're looking at every shooter in the NBA, total. So what's in there is so much noise that they decided that the mid-range was not an efficient shot only because they're looking at everybody shooting them. A lot of the time, it's the defense wants those guys to shoot them, and they're not going to make them, and then that percentage goes down. So obvious, and by the way, the other thing is in the playoffs, a lot of times they're going to run you off a three-point line. And so what do you have left? You might end up having to be in that 18-foot range. And if you haven't been practicing those in the games during the regular season, how are you supposed to make them in the playoffs when you really need to? So I agree that there needs to be a little bit better mix because you're getting teams that are 55% of their shots are threes or maybe even higher. And I feel like at some point with all these numbers, they're going to figure this out, that there's going to be an optimal number of threes. And then obviously you want to take as many as you can at the rim. But then I think out of that, there's going to appear like some acceptable number and some acceptable way of taking those mid-rangers. And I think primarily what you said, which is right, which is, Clay, Steph, Korver, your good shooters on the team should be able to take those. And they'll be efficient enough at those to take them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But why are not many other people so good at it?
Oh, I think that's part of it. I think that, it's a good question. Why are they not good at it? I mean, I kind of feel like they are good at it. If you're a good 3-point shooter, and there are a lot of those guys, then I think you're going to be really good at mid-range, but they just don't shoot them, right? Because like we said. Now, The bad shooters are bad anywhere, right? They're bad from the free throw line. They're bad from the 3-point line. They're bad from 20 feet, right? And that all has to do with the mechanics, how they were taught, how the alignment. So all those things too. So I feel like it's there's a pattern there that connects to no matter where you shoot from, you're not going to be so good at it. And I think that goes to training at that point. Like, why are they not training these things right? Why are they not training the right kind of shots, right? This is the kind of shot you would be getting out of this offense on this team from 20 feet away, but you're not practicing it. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they can't make them because they haven't practiced. So I think it's a mixture of all those things.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it. Thank you, Sirvan. I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
All right. So that was another question. So you know what? That was our hour. I mean, that went by kind of fast once we got all the people coming in here from Locker Room. So, all right, I tell you what, maybe I'll quickly look at a couple more questions as we wrap this up real quick. But Tyrese Maxey, I guess he's another one of those steals. I got to get my eyeballs on him. I promise I'll do that for the next one. So, by the way, that's how I knew how to look at quickly because someone last show told me you got to check him out. So that was great. So I love being able to, get this information from you. Don't forget, my membership is launching. I would really appreciate it if, even if you wanted to do like $1 a month just to kind of throw me a bone. It's not always easy to monetize over on the YouTube side these days with the way the NBA is going. So it helped me keep the lights on and it'll unlock custom emojis. But then again, for $3 a month, we're going to have shows that I bring on guests or shows like this exclusively just from the membership. And then for $4 a month, we're going to have that and exclusive watch parties with different games on the national games. And then on that, there, you'll be able to chop it up with me too directly. So, you know what? I think I have another mindful attraction Oh my goodness! Thank you so much. Some more money from Mexico, I believe. Isn't that what MX is? I'm the original YouTuber. You give the best in-depth analysis, and no matter who has more subs than you. First video I saw was the Bird versus Braun comparison. Wow, that's kind of a long time ago. So thank you so much, Mindful Attraction. And yeah, listen, subs are great. I think I'm usually more interested in views, right? Like that's usually where we're looking at, but subs would be nice too. And it's amazing that we got to 800,000. You know, where did I put it away? I had my 100,000 thing from YouTube somewhere not far. So anyway, so don't forget about that. I'm really pushing this hard because I really want to see this membership go well. And a lot of you guys on YouTube have been asking for a long time about it. So I'm going to launch that thing tomorrow. Got a funny video for you to announce it. But those are the terms we're going to go. So, I would love it if you would do it. So keep your eye out for that. Also, I'll be able to, give you private community posts where I can give you some like special stats that no one else has. And just a better conversation. Heck, we might even throw in a Discord where you can really, 24/7 we can talk with each other as part of the membership. So keep that in mind. And have I heard of Kai Sato? I have, but I haven't really seen him play. So I got to check him out. Cole Anthony could be special. He could be. I don't know. I need to watch some regular season games with him. Killian Hayes, I really liked him when I was doing my draft analysis. And he might be the guy there too. So we'll find out from him. He's been getting minutes at least, and that's nice to see. Gigolo Puff, you're the man. I really appreciate you out there keeping this chat on the YouTube side clean. Everybody over on Locker Room, awesome to have you there. Sorry that the discussion didn't quite work perfectly, but I won't wire out the kinks for next time. So don't forget, I'll be back here on Locker Room on Wednesday. Probably not on YouTube, but we'll see. But probably only on Locker Room. But I'll make sure I announce it on the community tab so you know. And I don't know. That's about it. Don't forget. Let me get all prepared for my sign off here. But that's about all I have for you, guys. So awesome show. Thanks for coming in. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in?